Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Menke, the McHenry High School College and Career Counselor, joined tonight by some amazing local colleagues from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, as well as McHenry County College. Tonight's virtual presentation, whether you're watching with us live or whether you're watching this recorded on YouTube, again, is live streamed coming your way tonight here. We're going to be talking about college access for students with disabilities. For those that have heard my spiels before, you know that my goal for every one of our McHenry High School students is to continue your education or training beyond that high school diploma, whatever that looks like. And if that training happens to be in a quote unquote college setting, then we have some opportunities and options and resources for you here tonight. So I am joined by some colleagues, some local colleagues tonight. We have Jordan Scheidecker from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater's Center for Students with Disabilities. Jordan, you want to say hi?
How we doing, everybody?
All right, we have Emily Leong, also from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater's Admissions Office. Emily?
Hello.
We have Jarrett Wolski from McHenry County College's Access and Disability Services Office. Jarrett?
Hi, everyone.
And then we have Amy Carzoli from McHenry County College, the Recruitment Services Office. Amy.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
All right, in a moment, I'm going to turn things over to Jordan here. Each of our presenters will have about 10-ish minutes or so and let you know what these services look like per their role, whether it be from the Center for Students with Disabilities or Access and Disabilities offices or the admissions and recruitment offices. For those watching live here on YouTube, you will notice the comment box below the window in which you're watching us right now. That comment box actually is also live for us. So if you happen to have questions that pop up during the presentation, you can enter those questions into that comment box and they will appear to us and we can actually address those right here live during the presentation. So don't be a stranger. Please enter those questions into that comment box right there on YouTube, and we will address those at the end. The last thing I want is for anybody watching this to walk away more confused about this process than when you started watching here. So I'm going to turn things over to Jordan, again, from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater's Center for Students with Disabilities. Jordan.
Hello, everyone. Like Curtis said, my name is Jordan Scheidecker. Before I start my presentation, I just like to let people know a little bit about myself because I'm a huge Y guy. I played wheelchair basketball, and one of the famous things my coach always told us is it's important to understand why you're doing something, right? Or maybe why you're listening to somebody. So my story actually starts in Whitewater in 2012. I started there as a traditional freshman, but I come from a low-income background, single-parent family home where I didn't have the information of financial aid, how to apply, or even accommodations being out there. So I always just talk to people about that process and being sure that they're building those relationships, comfortable asking questions, and then ultimately working with their support systems to be successful. Because for me, I had to come to college, again, be a part of wheelchair basketball and have a ton of success to really build those skills and professional skills. So focusing on that as soon as possible is definitely going to be important. Today, what we're really going to talk about as far as the Center for Students with Disabilities is the process to apply, so our Rock campus and how that relates to the experience of Uw-Whitewater students. And then we'll also talk about what disability service coordinators do, what types of students and disabilities we can actually support, and those things as well. But like Curtis said, if you have any questions live, feel free to put them up. Okay, Curtis, if you can switch it to the next slide. Sweet. A couple quick facts about Uw-Whitewater. Again, I mentioned the Rock campus, but we have a really cool opportunity for students to work with both of those campuses. U-Rock is a 2-year college, and their campus is in Janesville, which is about 30 minutes away. But what's unique to Whitewater is we have a transportation system and coach buses to where students can take classes over at U-Rock, but then also transfer back and forth so they can live on Whitewater's campus and still be engaged in activities that are hosted on campus and have a meal plan and different things like that, right? And so those general courses, when students are really getting started and learning what college is, taking math, science, and languages, right? They can shuttle over to URock and then shuttle back to Whitewater and have those experiences. Some fun facts about Whitewater: we're really old. We have a really good education college. We're well known for providing the most state teachers in the state of Wisconsin with their teaching license. And then we also have a really popular and well-known business school. What's cool about that is all of the buildings for that program, or the building, I'm sorry, has been newly renovated to replicate a business atmosphere with different things like a coffee shop and stock market information flowing through there and different things like that. So that's a real cool building to visit when coming to campus. And then some specialty programs that people really seem to get excited about. One of them being marine biology, which is a really cool program because students take 3 years of coursework over here in that program at Whitewater's campus, right? But then we have a sister school in Australia where for a year students can go and get the hands-on experience of working with marine animals. That's really cool. And then the other program that people get excited about is media arts and game development and being able to be involved in that as well. Just some differences for the people that don't know. High school is free. College comes with tuition and fees. Attendance in high school is by every hour or every hour that they're in class, right? They're keeping track of them. But when they're on campus, it may not always be that the professors are keeping track of attendance. And then the daily grind of high school is structured, and there's a lot of support within that from teachers and parents and other administration. But at college, right, they're going to make their own schedule. There's going to be a lot of unstructured free time. And then if we flip the slide, it gets a little bit more specific to that experience, right? Because high school, they're in class 6 to 8 hours a day, and college, it's going to look like 12 hours a week. Right away, you can see that that's a big difference. So thinking about study times is important, right? Because in high school, it's really just very general and whatever it takes. But in college, we're going to get a little bit more specific and say that for every hour a week that students are in class, they should study 2 to 3 hours. So if I'm in class for 50 minutes a week, right, that looks like 2 hours of studying for that class only for the week. And then frequency of exams, tests, and quizzes are pretty often in high school, a lot less in college, 2 to 4 times per semester. That's a general kind of guess there. Academic standards, right? Passing grades are a D or D minus maybe in high school. In college, you need a C to keep your seat is what we have on our presentation. But for students with disabilities, some of you may experience academic probation and different things like that, right? Kind of like myself, I was one of those students who was on academic probation. It sounds really scary, but I really like to let people know it's a semester where you can fall below that C average, and Whitewater has support systems where we're going to check on that student and ultimately do what we can to help the student be successful in that stage and hopefully get above that 2.0 grade point average. And then the support team, right? In high school, it might look like one person following your students around class to class, but in college, we're going to refer you to the Center for Students with Disabilities, to the admissions office, to financial aid, to housing. So understanding that it's going to be a bunch of different faces that support the student, but we're all going to work really hard to build self-advocacy skills and make the students aware of where to go for those supports. We can flip the slides. Thank you very much. The difference between high school and college as far as IEP 504 and what we do with that information, we don't use it in college. So you're going to be able to apply. You'll be able to upload your 504 IEP or doctor's information to our online application. Our disability service coordinators will review that and then meet with you and your student or just the student if they feel like they're independent enough to make that happen. And we'll have a conversation about their disability and how it affects their academic experience and ultimately decide their accommodations. It's also important to know that on college campuses, students must disclose that they have a disability in order to receive services. So we're not going to get that information before they come to campus, right? They have to come to our office, apply online, and then follow the steps that we communicate that they need to follow in order to complete the application process. We can go to the next slide. Thank you very much. The types of students that we serve physical disabilities like myself, someone with cerebral palsy, someone on the autism spectrum, visual and hearing impairments, learning disabilities like ADHD and dyslexia, psychological disorders. So that's mental health situations that students experience, right? We want to support them as well. So any student with depression and anxiety, there's ways we can support them. Traumatic brain injuries or concussions, and then chronic health conditions, which is anything that may happen while you're on campus. So what's allowed, right, in college versus what's not allowed, and you'll start to maybe make connections on how this might look different from high school. But what's allowed is extended time on exams and quizzes. That typically looks like an hour and a half, or time and a half. I'm sorry, time and a half for students, or double time if they're able to communicate that that's a need for them. Low distraction testing rooms. So we have that within our office. It's a really cool space where we have scribes and test proctors. And then there's barriers for the students that give them a little bit more privacy, and things are a little bit more quiet. They can take it in there. We also have an option for students to test in a room individually on their own, again, if they communicate that that's a need for them. Sign language interpreting. Volunteer note taking is looking a little different these days because our assistive technologies are becoming so advanced. So we have two really cool assistive technology. One is Glean, one is Kurzweil. Glean is an audio recording note-taking service that syncs with the PowerPoints that are given from the professor to the student before class. So they can, again, audio record an entire lecture, and then it makes it really easy for the students to pin notes throughout the lecture. So for example, if a professor says at 14 minutes and 15 seconds that this information is really important, the student can pin in about 2 seconds, hey, exclamation point, this information is important. So when they're playing this recording back, all of those times that they pinned important information that they needed to review will come up, and then they can click on them and go directly to those times. And the audio recording also kind of works like Netflix, to where you can record, fast forward, or rewind, fast forward, and different things like that. I mentioned Kurzweil. That's an assistive technology as well. That's a text-to-speech software that's really advanced and super cool. So again, it's directly uploaded to the laptop. It's some crazy machine that you have to tag along. But we work with our students to upload their books to the software. What's really cool about Whitewater is we rent our books out to our students. So we'll have those for most of the books. But when they have them uploaded to the software, you can speed up or slow down the reader, change the voice of the reader, take notes within the software, so you can kind of scribble on books and highlight things as well. And then again, it's really up to date. So it's word by word recognition, or you can have it repeated word by word. You don't have to listen to the same information over and over again. Those are really cool softwares. I kind of take a little extra time to explain them because I think people should know what they are and what they do and how to use them. What's not allowed: modified curriculum, using notes or a note card on a test, exam retakes, extra time for assignments. So extra time for assignments means that like your student, you as the student, will be expected to turn in assignments when the professor says they are due throughout the semester. So thinking about that, time management skills, right? Modified assignments. So you're going to be required to submit the same assignments that all of your classmates submit, regardless of disability. And then for the people that need personal care aides, we have had struggles because of COVID and different things hiring personal care aides. So we don't do that on our campus directly, but we're still a support and helping you get connected with government assistance like IRIS and other government assistance programs to help you get matched with personal care assistants, or even pay for them as well. Super cool. Thank you. So how do you access services? We talked about it a little bit. You'll apply for Whitewater first, get accepted to Whitewater, and then you'll get information about setting up your student login. Once you set up your student login, you can you'll be able to sign in online to our online accommodation request portal. We also refer to it as ARP in our office, just to make sure that no one gets confused when we're communicating this stuff. But once you sign in there, you can actually upload your 504 IEP and physician documentation at the very end of the application. Based on the information we get from the 504 IEP or notes from your doctor, we may ask for more documentation depending on it's a case-by-case situation. And then after you complete your application, submit documentation, you'll have a meeting with your disability service coordinator. We call it an intake, where we'll discuss your documentation, get your lived experience from you directly as the student, and then we'll ultimately decide what accommodations you are going to have for college in that meeting. And then we're also going to answer any of your questions and refer you to on and on campus resources. What's really cool about our office is I'm a little bit younger, and then my other coworkers, are even younger than me. So I like to brag about how we're able to kind of relate to students and make this process a little bit more welcoming than I've kind of heard students talk about it being in the past. So we can switch to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. The services I talked about before on the allowed and not allowed slide are all services that are standard when you apply for Center for Students with Disabilities accommodations. So know that. But these are fee-based services on top of those accommodations. So the Summer Transition Program is an opportunity for incoming CSD freshmen. So important to get accepted to Whitewater and apply for services before the spring of the fall that you plan to come. So hopefully that makes sense, because the reason why that's important, right? We're going to email you about the summer transition program, and what the summer transition program is an opportunity to again come to campus early, but then you'll take 2 courses as a student. One of the courses will count for credit towards your degree, whatever it is, but both classes will weigh against your GPA. So it's nice for students to get a little safety net when they come to campus for that first semester, right? And things might be a little tougher. You're learning life skills and things like that. And your GPA might fall that first semester. You have that safety net, right? But then it's also a cool opportunity to socialize, get familiar with campus, and kind of just have that experience before coming back in the fall. And then also knowing that you'll work directly with our disability service coordinators. So within those classes, really learning how to use the accommodation request portal, request your services, request testing times, and other things and different things like that as well. Project Assist is another really cool program that a lot of people want to know about. It's a tutoring program specific to students with disabilities. Sometimes people get confused because they're like, hey, we heard at Whitewater tutoring is free. Well, that's true. We have a space on our campus where tutoring is free, but on top of that free tutoring, we have this one-on-one organizational tutoring where a student can sit down with someone who's been trained to work with people with disabilities and go over their weekly coursework, learn how to respond to emails professionally, so communicating with our professors and different things like that. So Project Assist, there are 2 tiers and different information about those. So just knowing that. But if you have specific questions about Project Assist, feel free to take my contact information or ask me questions at the end of the presentation. And then Employment Connections is just a program for our students that use our services to get connected with employment opportunities, whether they're just getting started at Whitewater, they're looking for internships, or they're even maybe looking for job opportunities after graduation. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Again, self-disclosure is a huge piece of this process. So what self-disclosure is, for the people that might not understand, is just your ability to talk about your disability to people like the Center for Students with Disabilities. So you're not required to attest or request accommodations. If a student has been approved for services, you'll need to talk to your professor at different stages throughout that process as well, and make sure they know what's going on. And then if you choose not to disclose your disability information and you go directly to your professor and say, hey, I wasn't successful because I needed extra time, they're not required to give you that extra time unless you came through our office and took those steps and got approved for those accommodations. And then we want you to know, and you're going to see it one more time before I'm done talking, that we don't monitor your performance, attendance, or coursework as the Center for Students with Disabilities. Okay, so we can flip it to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. What does a Disability Service Coordinator do? We call them DSCs. I've kind of been talking about it throughout the presentation, but it's important to know that we serve 100 to 150 students, so we stay pretty busy. But we also want people to feel comfortable in the fact that we help students with different things like getting air conditioner or essential service animals. So we might meet with them once and then we don't really see them again. And why that's important, right, is because those students with other disability experiences that might benefit from one-on-one meetings more frequently, whether it be weekly, throughout the semester, or however it may be, we have the time to do that within our schedule. Again, going back to that point to where we are really connected on campus, we can answer questions and refer students to on and off campus resources. Check-in meetings like I just talked about, self-advocacy and independence. We're going to try to help develop those skills in different ways by asking you to take care of certain steps and giving you the time to do that. But then again, our office is really personable in that we're putting in the effort to make sure at least a couple of times that we're attempting to reach out to students and making sure that they're taking those steps. So ultimately, we want you to know that we want you to get what you need. And then we do not monitor your grades or attendance. I mentioned that you would see it again. Okay, the next slide, please, really fast. Thank you very much. How can you help your student prepare? I think this is a really important slide as well. Just thinking about what accommodations you're using and the slide, right, that we talked about what's allowed and not allowed and how high school accommodations in college might look a little different. Thinking about your testing experience and being able to explain what happens if you're getting distracted by people standing up, moving around, finishing early, is causing some anxiety and different things. You want to be able to communicate that. Developing organizational skills. So thinking about what tools you use, whether it's computer technology or a simple notepad or whatever it is, do you have the ability to get somewhat organized? And if you don't have that right away, understand you're in high school, but if we can develop those skills, it'll be really important to your success. Okay. And so asking for help, also really important, right? Being able to do that. I always tell students, start with your parents. You know, they're always going to love you for the most part. They're people that you can go to for that support. Asking them for any types of help will really help you outside of the house. Student knowledgeable about your disability. So start asking questions about your disability and how it affects you and trying to explain that maybe again to peers or guardians that support you and you feel comfortable around. Thinking about your study skills. What type of learner are you? Can you sit here and listen to someone like me, or do you need to be more engaged in the work that you do? And then if you have a full-time aide, are you able to kind of take over some of the steps or some of the jobs and responsibilities that the aide has for you? So for example, when you're taking notes in class, if you have an aide tapping on your shoulder saying that these notes are important, are you able to find ways to figure out what notes are important throughout the class? Next slide, please. And then we want to encourage you to visit as many colleges as possible. I'm a wheelchair basketball coach, and even when we recruit our wheelchair basketball athletes against these really cool schools, we still encourage them to find the place that's meant for them. I think that's really cool about Whitewater. So thinking about other campuses and specialized tours that they offer, other disability service staff, and then maybe being able to try out some of the assistive technologies that I previously mentioned, and then also thinking about transition programs or even maybe some more fun sporting or gaming kind of summer camps to bring students to campus and allow them to have that experience. And then this is my contact information. I always tell people in things like this where they're getting a bunch of information and it can be overload. The most important thing you can do is take a picture of this information, make sure you have it, because I'm the person, if you reach out to me, I do a really good job of reaching back out to you, super passionate about making sure people get what they need. So if you have, again, any questions or want me to walk you through these steps when you guys are ready, feel free to reach out to me. I'd really appreciate it.
All right, Jordan, thank you so much. That was amazing information, again, from the Center for Students with Disabilities at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Again, this school is just a little over an hour away from us. It's a school that tends to draw a lot of attention from McHenry High School students because of the proximity and because they're such a great institution. So coming at things now from the admissions perspective is going to be Emily Leong. Again, she works out of the admissions office at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I also remind our live viewers, if you have questions along the way, feel free to drop those questions into the comment box in YouTube there. We can see them and we can respond to them. All right, Emily.
All right, awesome. So, hi everybody. My name is Emily Leong. Like Curtis said, I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an admissions counselor at University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Super excited to talk a little bit about kind of what our campus has to offer and kind of the whole admissions process. So, if you could click over to the next slide, that would be great. So we are, as our name says, located in the city of Whitewater, Wisconsin. Again, just to hop over the Illinois-Wisconsin border, 2 hours away from Chicago, an hour away from Milwaukee, and about 45 minutes away from Madison, Wisconsin. So definitely some really great places, not only for recreation, but when you start thinking about internships, jobs after graduation, graduate schools, those three cities are really great places to start looking for some of those opportunities. Total enrollment for this year is 11,460. So we're considered a mid-sized campus. I like to say that we have a really big community, but we still offer smaller class sizes. So that's kind of the best of both worlds. About 3,600 of our students are first generation. About 1,200 of our students utilize our Center for Students with Disabilities, and just under 400 of our students are veterans or actively serving. So if you do need any of those resources, we do have those and offer those to our students, not only to help them within their transition to UW-Whitewater, but also throughout your time with us as well. If you could click over to the next slide. Just a couple of big points of pride for us. So we are ranked nationally number 17 out of 50 best disability-friendly campuses in the United States. So we're really proud of all of the accommodations that Jordan kind of mentioned to help students succeed inside and outside of the classroom. We're ranked 4 out of 5 stars for LGBTQ inclusivity on the Campus Pride Index. So we want to make sure that students feel as safe and as welcome on campus as possible. And then in this bottom right, this bottom right corner is a little bit about our athletics. We are a Division III campus. We offer the intercollegiate sports, but also club sports and intramural sports. And Jordan was kind of mentioning a little bit about wheelchair basketball, which has been a really successful team on our campus as well. Besides athletics, we also offer over 200 student organizations, ranging from professional organizations, social organizations, identity-based orgs, or even Greek life as well. So tons of different ways for our students to get involved and meet people on campus. And then something that we are super, super proud of at UW-Whitewater is that 98.4% of our graduates are employed or in grad school within a year of graduation. And I think that really attests to some of the academic and career supports that we're able to offer on campus as well. So if you can change it over to my academics slide, that would be great. Awesome. So this is a little bit about kind of what academics looks like. If you're looking, at a list of our majors and minors that we offer on campus, which you can find on our academics page of our website, everything's kind of broken up into 5 main colleges. I won't touch on too much here, but College of Arts and Communication is for anybody that's interested in art, theater, music, dance, but also communication, journalism, and media arts and game development. It's home to our campus radio station, campus TV station, and newspaper. Our College of Business and Economics, again, one of the largest business schools in the state of Wisconsin. And we're also accredited by the AACSB. So that is a world recognized accreditation specifically for business students or for business programs. College of Education and Professional Studies. Again, we license the most first-time teachers in the state of Wisconsin. College of Integrated Studies is our Rock County campus, where students are able to receive an associate's degree, or we are also introducing a nursing and engineering program through our Rock County campus as well. Our College of Letters and Sciences is pretty much for everything else. but mostly our natural, physical, social sciences, as well as our foreign language and our computer science programs are also through letters and sciences. Average class size is about 28 students. 100% of those classes are taught by faculty and instructional staff. So that means that you're not going to have any TAs or graduate assistants teaching classes. It's always going to be your professors 100% of the time, which just means that you're going to not only get a lot of academic support from your professors, but also professional support as well. 93% of our students complete some sort of high impact practice, which is an internship or undergraduate research or study abroad. Some of those kind of really big experiences for our students to get them outside of the classroom and get some extra career experience. So if you can click it over to the next slide, this is a little bit about cost. So we do at Uw-Whitewater understand that cost is a really big contributing factor in the college decision. When we're thinking about, non-resident students, which most students at McHenry are going to be considered, tuition for a year is sitting at about $17,000. An estimated housing cost of about $7,300 puts a non-resident student at a total cost of $24,300 or so. That price will be all inclusive. So 95% of your textbooks are going to be covered within that price. And then everything in this top right corner is also going to be included. So these are kind of some recurring costs that we've recognized our students experience that we kind of put into our combined tuition and housing to make our price the best value that it can possibly be. So athletic events, laundry is kind of the big one, tutoring and printing are all included. And then this bottom row is for everything that's we just introduced this year. Our student government has done a really good job of being able to help our campus introduce these things included in tuition. And then also non-resident students will be, for incoming freshmen, will be automatically considered for our non-resident scholarships as well, ranging from $1,000 to $6,000. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. If you could click over to the next slide, this is just a little bit about our application process. So for seniors that are watching right now, this is probably the most pertinent to you right now. We're currently on 2 application systems, the UW system app and the Common app as well. Only need to fill out one. We kind of get the same information no matter which application you fill out. And then besides the application, all we really need to make an admissions decision is a copy of your high school transcript. So we're currently test optional, and we currently do not have any application fees. So our application is really easy, accessible, and free. If you could click over to the next slide, this is just a little bit about the application process and the admissions process as a whole. There are a ton of dates here, so I definitely recommend to take a picture of this. I won't touch on too much. Our applications for fall of 2023 are open right now. Any student who is admitted before January 1st is going to be considered for an additional pool of scholarships. So any seniors right now who are still looking for scholarship opportunities, I definitely recommend to get your applications in very soon, just so that we have enough time to get you an admissions decision before that January 1st date. Once we have, the materials to make your admissions decision, we try to get you a decision between 2 to 3 weeks. To be honest, right now is kind of our busy season. I have definitely a lot of applications right now. So definitely getting those applications in sooner rather than later is going to help your chances of making sure your decision is in before that date. Once we have your admissions decision and we can start thinking about next steps and things like that, the big ones are going to be the housing contract. I always recommend students to fill that out sooner rather than later, just so that they can get better chances to get their higher preferences for housing. And then March 1st opens up registration for Warhawk SOAR, or Student Orientation, Advising, and Registration. This is for students to meet their academic advisors and also register for their first semester of classes. So those are the kind of the 2 big ones that I wanted to point out in terms of next steps. So that is kind of the road to committing to UW-Whitewater. And then my last slide here is just a little bit about our social media. So if you would like to kind of keep up with us and see what's happening on campus. If you can move it forward to the next slide.
Emily, my apologies. That slide did not carry over into the presentation.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I can pull it up right here. So our social media on Facebook is UW-Whitewater Admissions. And then on Instagram and Twitter is UWW Admissions. I'd also recommend that we have, for seniors, we do have a Facebook page for all of our admitted students to meet people before they get to campus, talk about roommate arrangements, and get any last minute questions answered. So that Facebook group is UW-Whitewater Class of 2027, if I have any admitted students that are watching that are looking for a resource like that. But other than that, please let me know if you folks have any other questions. Please feel free to give the admissions office a call. We'd love to help guide you through this process as much as we can.
All right, Emily, thank you so much. And again, my sincere apologies for that last slide not making it on there. I appreciate
no worries.
your improvisational skills there. All right, so next we have Jarrett from McHenry County College's Access and Disability Services Office. Just a few quick statistics on any given year. Well over 40%, it's usually between 45 to 50% of McHenry High School students take their next step into the Illinois Community College system, with the vast majority sticking with our in-district community college MCC. I will lean into those statistics anytime. So Jarrett, I'm going to turn things over to you.
All right, Curtis, thank you. Well, thank you also for the statistics. That's great to hear, because a lot of this information that I'm going to provide about access and disability services here at McHenry County College is very similar to what you've just heard at the University of Whitewater. So I think that's great that there's kind of this seamless transition for those students that come here for the 2-year degree or for community college, and then also have their eye on transitioning to a 4-year university. So yeah, my role is the coordinator of accommodations here in the Office of Access and Disability Services at McHenry County College. And then on the next slide, I'll get into a little bit of specifics about our office. So really, to summarize this slide, our office is the place designated on campus to provide reasonable accommodations for otherwise qualified students and community members with disabilities. In addition to that too, our office also provides certain services and assistance for students who are English language learners, as well as some students that are enrolled in career and technical educational programs that face academic barriers to their education. And then on the next slide, we'll get into even more specifics about what our office offers. So really, I would say the meat and potatoes of what our office offers are those first 4 things on the slide. So the reasonable accommodations, which are based on determination, that's probably the most important thing that our office offers, because that's what we're designed for. And then in order to implement those accommodations, it's a lot of consultation with faculty, staff, in addition to the education and consultation with the student. In addition to that, we have assistive technology similar to what the ones that you've heard, whether it's recording devices, Kurzweil, and other different programs, both free and or low tech, we could say, that we offer to students. Certain students that may need additional assistive technology, we may refer out to the Department of Rehabilitation Services or Illinois Assistive Technology Program for further assistance. And then we also offer academic support coaching. So this is a free service that is offered for our students that are registered with our office. And academic support coaches are really basically like a personal coach to help a student transition to college life and then learn some of those foundational skills for academic success. Because we recognize that transition can be very hard from high school to college, just as you saw in the UWW slides, where there's a significant amount of difference between the high school or secondary setting and then now the college or post-secondary setting. So our academic support coaches are there to really help students make that transition as seamless as possible. And then some of the other things our office offers is kind of like what we're doing right now, coordinating with community partnerships and local high schools. And then we also have disability-related events and celebrations, both on campus and within the community, as well as providing different disability training and resources. And so who works in ADS? So we have our administrative assistant, who is typically the initial contact and the first individual that you'll meet with. to learn more about our office or also to start registering for that intake meeting. And then we have a coordinator of accommodations, which is me. And my role is really basically everything on the previous slide. We're also in the process of hiring an additional coordinator. And then our director, whose role, in addition to all the other things on the previous slide, also oversees our office, our policies, our procedures, and our staffing. And then, as I just mentioned, we have our academic support coaches in our office. We also have subject tutoring within our office, which is in addition to the other services that we have on campus that Amy will talk about a little more. That includes additional coaching, additional tutoring, mentoring programs, and all these are free for our students. And so to register with ADS, it's basically the same process as you heard with Whitewater. So you would complete the intake form and attach any relevant documentation. Then typically I'll be the one that looks over that intake form and documentation, and then our administrative assistant will reach out to you to schedule an intake meeting. During that intake meeting, we determine those reasonable accommodations. The most important thing though is that those accommodations are determined on a case-by-case basis. So we're looking at the information given in the intake form, we're looking at the information provided in documentation, and then we're also looking at and listening to the students' experiences to really determine what accommodations we can offer. And then every semester, the student submits an accommodations request form. That form basically tells us that a student is registered with MCC still, is taking courses for the following semester, and then wants us to send their list of accommodations to their instructors. And we're actually in the process of starting and transitioning to a newer software to manage accommodations, but that will not change the process of registering with ADS. This process will stay the same. And so some common accommodations that you might see are things like testing accommodations, extended test time, a test reader, or alternative testing location, which is in our testing center, or things like the note takers, record lectures, or students may be able to take breaks like a bathroom break during class or get up to kind of help regulate during class. But again, and I sound like a broken record, and I'm doing that intentionally because accommodations are determined on a case-by-case basis. So it really is key, that intake meeting and that information that we receive prior to that intake meeting. And then so when we're thinking about some of the high school and college differences specifically for students with disabilities is that, and I also want to reach out to the parents or the family members, the guardians, because I want to recognize that it is a very hard transition also for family members or loved ones, because in many ways you are the head coach, right in the thick of it for K through 12. And then all of a sudden, when a student goes on to college, there's this kind of this break and this big difference. A lot of habits need to be relearned, a lot of ways of relating with the student, communicating with the college changes. So I do want to emphasize that in terms of the family, the parent perspective, that we appreciate all the work that you do, and that our goal in ADS is really to be able to take on that burden and help your students, so that you kind of go from the head coach to kind of a coach that's more off in the sidelines. So again, in high school, the school identifies the student with disabilities versus the student must self-identify in the college setting. As I said, the family and caregivers are highly involved in the process in high school. And in college, the emphasis is really placed on the student. And even what we can tell to family members or parents is kind of, we can't say too much due to different privacy rules. In high school, a case manager typically oversees accommodations, just like at UWW. While a student may meet with me to determine and help implement accommodations, we do not follow up on grades or those types of things. The student must notify our office if they have any accommodation concerns. And the biggest thing is really high school in the primary and secondary setting guarantees success. We're guaranteeing access. And so then what are your rights as a college student? So at MCC, you have the following rights. You have the right to equal access to courses, programs, services, activities, and facilities. You have the right for reasonable accommodations that provide equal opportunity for access. And then you have the right for appropriate confidentiality of your disability documentation. And that information will only be released with written consent or whenever disclosure is required or permitted by law. Meanwhile, your responsibilities as a college student, again, is to set up that intake appointment with our staff and to provide the appropriate documentation, to complete that request form each semester for accommodations, and then basically to provide, depending on the accommodation, whether things like interpreting or Braille services or things like that. There's different minimum time limits that are needed so that we can fulfill those accommodations within a timely manner. And of course, also as a college student, it's your responsibility to seek information, academic, personal counseling or assistance as needed, and then to really adhere to the standards and the code of conduct that is expected of MCC students. And then, so how can you be successful at MCC? The most important thing is to start now, to start while you're in high school. The big thing is, I would say, anticipate the college environment. And similar to UWW, the college environment is broader. There may be more time in between classes. There's less of you don't have a class every single day. One of the things that I love about MCC is the variety that we offer to students. We offer 8-week courses, 16-week courses, courses within the winter intersession for like 3 weeks, basically between the end of the fall semester and the beginning of the spring semester. We offer courses in blended formats, online formats. So really kind of getting to the third bullet of knowing how you learn best. If you know that you prefer online courses, we offer online courses. If you know that you have a hard time kind of making it to the end, like that final stretch of finals, well, we offer the 8-week courses where you may be able to focus more intensely at 1 or 2 courses at a time. And so these types of things with the college environment, as well as like how much time it may take you to walk from class to class, all of those things that I would encourage you to think about now while you're in high school. And then one of the biggest parts is that self-advocacy piece. So really speak with your instructor when you have a question or concern now in high school, because that is what will be expected of you in the college setting. And then understand how your disability or health challenge impacts your academic performance, because that's what we're looking for in the intake. We're looking for really that intersection between, your disability or health challenge, and then how that impacts or causes a barrier to your academic access. And now while you're having IEP or 504 meetings, come prepared to those meetings with questions and actively participate in those meetings, because those same questions and participation is what's going to be expected in your intake meeting with us. And so, yeah, really, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We have our website, our email address, and also the number that will go to our administrative assistant. And then Amy's going to be able to round off this whole presentation with more information that we have at MCC.
All right, Jarrett, that was excellent. Much appreciated. Again, just given how many of McHenry High School students take their next steps at McHenry County College, it's so wonderful to know that they're welcomed and that those services are provided to them. All right, Amy, I'm going to go here to the next slide. And again, one more time, I will remind our live viewers, you can drop questions directly into that comment box right there in YouTube, and we can see those questions. We will do a little Q&A if we do get any questions here once Amy is done with her session regarding the admissions and recruitment perspective on this from MCC. Amy.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jarrett, for setting this up so nicely. My name is Amy Carzoli, and I am the Director of Enrollment Services here at MCC. So what that means is I oversee the recruitment and admissions process, and then also our testing center. So it's important to me that we make sure that we have equitable processes all the way from the admissions process into for our students as they are utilizing our testing center. So at MCC, we have an easy mission statement to remember. Our focus is learning and student success is our goal. And we really, truly do live that every day. We want to make sure that we are not only accessible, but affordable and student focused for all of our students who attend here. So all students are welcome. We are an open enrollment campus. What that means is that there are no general admission requirements. So we welcome everybody to come and check it out and really use your time at MCC as a time to explore. No matter your age or your background, everyone is welcome and we would love to have you. We are just north of Crystal Lake on Route 14 in between Crystal Lake and Woodstock. And so we are kind of centrally located in the county. We have a walkable and a movable campus. We have 6 buildings that are all connected, so there is no need to have to go outside in between classes, even if you have to travel to another building. We have approximately 8,000 students, and our average class size is about 20 students to one faculty member. So MCC offers a variety of support services for our students. From the minute that you might be thinking about attending MCC, we are excited and look forward to offering you assistance with the application process, how to navigate paying for college and financial aid and scholarship resources. And then Jarrett mentioned some of the individualized support that we offer, as well as our academic and life resources, whether it be mental health resources or even resources to help you get to and from campus. We also recognize that many of our students decide to move on to a four-year college after MCC. We have transfer resources for those. And then we have a variety of internship, apprenticeship, and career resources for those who, after spending their time at MCC and developing their skills, want to go right out into the workforce. And then we have academic advising and planning, and have student success coaches, as well as embedded student navigators in every single one of our classes to offer that additional support for our students. So at MCC, you kind of get to design what your college career is going to look like. You can create your own schedule, whether it's full-time or part-time. You can take classes in person, online, or blended. And then we offer classes throughout the day in the mornings, afternoons, and evenings. So whether your schedule affords you the opportunity to take a full load, or to only take classes maybe in the morning or the evening to work around your work schedule. We have a lot of hands-on learning labs, and we have a very robust student life office and department. So paying for college, right? That's at the top of everybody's thought process when they're thinking about what college looks like for them. Our current tuition rate is $111.50 per credit hour. I see that not only did the 50 cents get left off of there, but we've also spelled McHenry wrong there in that link to our tuition page. So we'll get that taken care of. But the majority of our programs and certificates are financial aid eligible. We are happy to help students with the FAFSA process, or if the FAFSA is not available to you, then we also help with the alternative application. We have well over 100 MCC scholarships available each year. One of the benefits is that you only have to fill out one application, and then the algorithm in our software matches you to all of the scholarships that you meet the requirements for, and then you are considered for each of those scholarships. So what does a cost comparison look like? So again, a class at MCC with tuition and fees probably is going to cost about $360. That same 3-credit class at a public four-year institution in the state of Illinois would be about $1,600, and at a private four-year institution in Illinois, about $2,350. So we offer a variety of opportunities here at MCC for you to kind of take your next educational step. So most people think of us for our transfer degrees. We have 5 different transfer degrees that are intended for our students who want to go on to a four-year university and earn their bachelor's degree. We also offer over 30 Associate of Applied Science degrees, and those are associate degrees in specific career and topic areas that are intended to get you into the workforce after your time at MCC. We also have over 65 different certificates, and many of those stack on top of each other to then after you've completed a few different certificates, you can then complete an Associate of Applied Science degree. We also have quick training programs, which we also call career training. These are non-college credit programs, but they, again, are intended to get you into the workforce as quickly as possible with the skills that you need. Some of the classes are as short as 6 weeks and then go up to a couple months. And then on this slide, you'll see some of the examples of each of those programs. So MCC, we're really proud of how we prepare our students for their next steps after they are finished here. And whether it's transferring, we have guaranteed admission agreements with a lot of different universities. We have college rep visits. You'll see Uw-Whitewater reps on our campus often. And then for those who are interested in getting directly into the workforce, we do have a variety of career services, including our career coach tool that's available on our website and our Hire a Scott job board. I also previously mentioned internships, and then we also provide services with resumes and interviewing and job shadowing. So I mentioned previously that we do have a very robust student life department. We have athletics, student clubs. We have a variety of employment opportunities for our students, as well as a lot of events and a fitness center. So how do you get connected to us here at MCC? First of all, you can go to our website, and if you do /start, that will kind of get you on the track to next steps to take to start your journey here at MCC. We would also encourage you to follow us on Facebook at MCC Admissions. MCC also has general Twitter and Instagram feeds. And then you can check out all of the events we have available at /events. I would encourage you to call or email to make an appointment with one of our new student enrollment coaches. They would be available to meet with you at any time. We also give tours of campus, and we really love to show off all of the interactive learning spaces that we have here.
All right, Amy, thank you so much. Again, MCC is, I will firmly state, our strongest post-secondary partner, given the proximity, given the cost, given the in-district status. Just a wonderful, wonderful institution. I can't say enough. Jordan, Emily, Jared, I'm going to pull you back on screen here. Get everybody back in. So we do not have any questions entered there into the YouTube chat. So I think with that, on behalf of my colleagues from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and McHenry County College, we're so grateful for your viewership, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recording. At McHenry High School, we are here to help and support your students, and these wonderful institutional partners are right there as well. So on behalf of our partners, thank you for viewing and have a pleasant evening, folks.